Hello and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Hand-Eye Supply Curiosity Club. We are your hosts this evening. I'm Will Lacoma, and this is Tobias Berglinger. Together we have a number of curious and exciting topics to share with you.
As attendees of the Hand-Eye Supply Curiosity Club, you are now all members, provided you adhere to our philosophy. Ex Curiositas Scientia. We pledge to learn without prejudice in pursuit of our mutual goal, perpetual noviceship. We admit that it is impossible to know everything about anything, and thus we remain perpetually curious and perpetually novice.
This is our flag and our mascot, Franklin. The lightning bolt represents the receipt of knowledge, the enlightenment of illumination, the resonance of truths understood. It awakens and excites us and makes us hungry for more.
And now we are very happy to introduce Obed Valadez, Tom Lakovich, and David Thorpe of Industry. Industry is a collective of creators, designers, thinkers, and makers in Portland, Oregon that have joined together to form a new design and innovation company.
Thank you. So we're here to share with you guys a little bit about the adventure we've been on over the last 8 months or so, 8-9 months, and maybe expose you a little bit to the thinking that kind of went behind us kind of starting anew, stepping out of all of our existing or current roles and kind of thinking about designing a business, a design firm kind of in a new way, and maybe rethinking a little bit of the way we kind of work together and work with different clients and rethink the kind of design trade. So Tobias mentioned we're a collective of creators, designers, thinkers, and makers. And that kind of gets to the first in our 3 kind of points here: people, place, and prototyping. So first is people for us. And us, there's 5 of us right now, and we're all kind of come from a making background. So even though we may have kind of a formal degree in one discipline, interaction design, industrial design, engineering, graphic design, we all kind of thrive on kind of diverse making activities. So we enjoy making furniture, building tree houses at home, hacking, cars, radios in cars.
Radios, telescopes, electronics, just whatever we can hack, we hack basically.
Right. So we all have that kind of passion and foundation outside of our work. And we want to kind of bring a lot of that spirit kind of to our day-to-day work as well. I think the other thing about the people side for us that was really important is having the right mix of disciplines that know how to work together. So we're not kind of deep in any one position, but we kind of cover all the bases. Interaction design, kind of brand identity, graphic design, engineering, software programming, interaction design. So we have kind of a full complement of design disciplines within a small firm, I think, which is not totally unique, but it's a little bit different than you might think about starting an industrial design firm where there's 5 industrial designers and that's kind of your focus. So
yeah, I think in the old days, the way that a lot of firms were broken up, even if it was a diverse team, it would be siloed into these sections. For us, I think that over the time from working in big agencies and known corporations, we learned that the best and most successful projects were oftentimes when you have a team that's completely integrated. And in many ways, I mean, we made an effort to make sure that even though we all have these disciplines, we kind of meet in the middle, and that middle is to tell great stories and kind of bring them to life. And we saw that that's oftentimes what has worked out.
Yeah, so that was kind of the first hurdle was like, who do you want to work with? For us, that was the most important. And it's really like a chemistry experiment. You have to be really careful about who you add to that mix. And that group or that team can't really get too large or you lose that cohesiveness. So thinking about how to grow beyond is kind of an interesting design challenge in itself that we're discovering.
Or to make sure that everyone in that mix can play in the other person's role just fluently, so that there isn't really any kind of division. There isn't like a interaction design group and an industrial design group and a research group. That it's sort of all of us are capable of doing any of those things, even though we specialize at one of them.
Yeah, and I think it's that kind of siloed mentality that a lot of organizations suffer from, definitely large corporations. But whenever you get kind of large groups of people trying to do design, that kind of silo mentality can really break down that ability to kind of design across that. So that was kind of the first thing, the first design challenge that we tackled is the who part of it. The second was surprisingly, I think, kind of surprised me a little bit is place. Having a space to design and actually being in Portland. For us, I think we you know, we had a space, you know, before we had a ton of projects, right? It was, you know, kind of committing to space was a really important thing for us. And that being, you know, I would say even beyond people, the second most important thing to the creative process is having a space to do that, a space to collaborate, a space to put your work up.
But also a space that you're not scared to get dirty. You know,
Right.
oftentimes you have these pristine places, right? And you forget that at the end of the day, we're creators, we're hands-on. We have to be able to have the freedom to constantly try and to constantly be able to, again, prototype. And for us, that was important to have a big area, section it off, and feel like we have that freedom.
Mm-hmm. More of a workshop metaphor for a design agency than, you know, traditional.
A really stylized design studio or something like that, right? So that was kind of the second kind of core tenet in thinking about, you know, designing our business. The third was prototyping, and we'll go into a lot more depth about that, and maybe kind of crack open your thinking about what prototyping is when we say that. And I'm sure a lot of you kind of can imagine prototyping across all disciplines at all levels, but you know, it's not just prototyping as in making physical models or something like that. It's prototyping brand, prototyping consumer targets, prototyping strategy, as well as prototyping physically and digitally. So just bringing that kind of thinking to the kind of core activity of our day-to-day work. So we'll talk a little bit more about kind of our new perspective on the way we're going to work. It was kind of, for me at least, the approach or the process side of it that was the hardest to rethink. It's really easy, I think, to fall into the, you know, the phase 1, 2, 3 mentality that we all kind of know and love and very familiar with. And so I think that was the hardest thing, I think, for me at least, to kind of say, you know, really step back and think, you know, what's a different approach, a different way of thinking about solving design problems, and how can we formalize that and visualize that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And, you know, I think the work we've been doing to date is really diverse. I think it represents kind of diversity of our team. We're doing, you know, brand strategy, interaction design, product design, research, you know, brand identity. I think I mentioned that.